Penn State fans, Max Ralph, Johnny McGonigal, you might be able to see behind us on the Beaver Stadium video board, but Matt Campbell is here. He's been introduced as Penn State's 17th head coach in program history. And Johnny, I think you and I are in agreement. He won the press conference today, but that can be pretty easy to do in a setting like this when you have time to prepare. But the way he did it was impressive, and I came away from our hour with him very impressed and feeling like Penn State got a great fit.
I was as well, not necessarily surprised. I mean, if you go back and watch any of his press conferences or locker room videos from his time at Iowa State, that's who Matt Campbell is. In Pat Kraft's estimation, Matt Campbell is Penn State, the way he carries himself, and we saw that today. Like you said, Max, agree with you. He won the press conference, but it was in like an endearing way, in a very precise way, but not necessarily calculated. Like he kind of,
right.
It was a thin line, right? And he threaded that needle. Is the phrasing I'm looking for. He did a really good job.
Yeah,
he did a good job. It was a great introduction to him to Penn State. He hit the notes that you wanted to hit, like talking about former players and Todd Blackledge being from where he grew up and all of that, right? But he always brought it back to the opportunity that he sees here, and it is a big one for him.
Yeah, it's freezing cold out here, so excuse us if we trip
over
over our words. But I thought there was like a realness in his press conference there that we didn't always get sometimes at Penn State
for the last 11 years,
right?
Or so.
Because with these things, like sometimes you have things scripted. I mean, he teared up before he even spoke about the fact that he was able to coach at this university. One that he didn't say he was a Penn State fan growing up, but he mentioned the ties to Todd Blackledge. He mentioned Courtney Brown. He mentioned Todd Blackledge. He mentioned Kerry Collins. He even mentioned Joe Paterno among the first few words that he said.
He gave credit to Bill O'Brien.
He did, and James Franklin for what they've built here. He hit on Saquon Barkley. He hit on LBU, called it running back U as well. Like you said, he played all the hits, but the realness for me was like sometimes you can get some crocodile tears in the first couple statements.
Yeah.
He teared up 3 or 4 times throughout the thing. And not only was it about Penn State and this opportunity, I thought it was impressive that he teared up and I felt like it was very real when he talked about how difficult it was to leave Iowa State and the foundation that he'd built there.
Absolutely, and it was a foundation. I mean, over the course of 10 years, this was a program that was not a winner by any means when he got there.
No.
He's talked about being hired so young and getting the keys to a program to be able to build it in his image, and he did that at Iowa State. I mean, they just won 11 games, a year ago,
right.
And that's a program that had never had that happen ever. Highest winning percentage in Iowa State program history since 1919. So the guy gets an opportunity now here, and it always felt like with Matt Campbell, he was always rumored for coaching opportunities in the past, but being from Ohio, it always felt like it was going to be a Penn State or a Notre Dame, a Michigan, an Ohio State, a school like that in this region of the country that was going to pry him away from Iowa State. And this is an opportunity now for him that you can tell, so greatly appreciates for him and his family. And Pat Kraft, we talked to him as well, and he was talking about the timeline, and obviously it got a little messy. He mentioned that it might be a Netflix documentary one day, this coaching search, this 54-day coaching search that ended just a few days ago in landing Matt Campbell. And he said, look, ultimately it brought us to it, and we got the guy that we wanted, that we feel like is the guy that will bring a national championship to Penn State, and I come away believing it.
Yeah, I do tend to agree. Pat Kraft said something that stood out to me. He said they got on the phone, I think it was Wednesday night, and he was like, well, banging my head against the wall because why didn't we get to him sooner? It was just immediate. This felt like a fit. I mean, there was the whole saga with Kalani Sitake, some other targets, Mike Elko, etc. But, like, I agree. Why did it take so long to get here? Because this seems
would have made our lives easier, right?
It would have. And I'll also say
in his life,
I think he'll be a little lucky if it does turn into a Netflix documentary, because that probably means Matt Campbell really worked out here.
It'll probably be Peacock, though, given the NBC rights and everything.
That's true. One thing on your mention of pulling him eastward to get away from Iowa State, I think one of the quotes that he said that stood out to me the most. I mean, there are a ton of things that we're going to have to divvy up throughout this week, and we spent an hour, and pretty much every quote, every answer that he had something newsworthy within it. But he said, I always knew that when I was at Iowa State, the COVID pandemic in 2020 allowed me some time to evaluate my family situation and what mattered to me. And he said, when I left, I wanted it to be for something where I thought I was going to finish my career. And I found that. And I just thought that was really impressive, and I felt it was real because now he's within at least less than 3 hours of family members. This really means a lot to him, and I think, as long as he's successful, Penn State's got a coach for the long haul.
Absolutely, and this is something that they wanted, and this is something that Pat Kraft wanted. This is a hire that will define his legacy and reputation as Penn State's athletic director, as well as the construction that's ongoing in this building and everything else.
Yeah, you might be able to hear it in the background.
You might be able to hear it in the background. Hopefully it's not too loud.
Yeah.
But this is obviously a major move for Penn State, after so many years and so many games and so many trials and tribulations, ups and downs with James Franklin, to now start the Matt Campbell era today. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting one, man.
Yeah. It's just after 1 p.m. on a Monday afternoon. I believe if you catch us before, if you catch this video soon, Johnny and I will be live Monday evening around 6 p.m. on the Blue White Breakdown. Catch us on YouTube. Listen to that recording anywhere. And like we said, there is going to be a ton coming out of this, so make sure you're subscribed to PennLive.com too.